Lucy Letby, attacking since 2012. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. I recently undertook a thorough examination as to what Lucy Letby is. Not long ago, that series was concluded with the final analysis and conclusion. If you haven't watched that series so far and haven't accessed the conclusion, you may wish to halt watching this video because I'm going to tell you what she actually is. And if you don't want to spoil your own consideration of what she might be and then listened to a very, very detailed examination of what she's not and what she is, I would suggest you halt right now. Otherwise, if you're content to continue, I determined that Lucy Letby is a sadistic narcissist with psychopathic tendencies. One of the fascinating aspects of Lucy Letby was the absence of any form of conduct disorder and antisocial behaviour prior to the pattern of killing babies. This was most interesting since there was no escalation of poor behaviour, but it almost seems as if she went straight in at the deep end and started murdering babies. She didn't have a history of assaults, fighting, rebelling, being difficult at school, truancy. Hitherto, she was described as Mary Poppins, and then in 2015 she started murdering children and attempting to murder others. I formed the view that it's likely that her actual involvement in harming babies commenced prior to 2015, and that 2015 was when alarm bells started to ring and the evidence was accumulated. My observations in that regard appear to now have been borne out with a continued investigation. Police medical experts involved in the ongoing investigation into Lucy Letby have reportedly found evidence of malevolent acts against other babies. All 4,000 admissions of babies into neonatal units at the two hospitals where the nurse worked during her 4-year career are being sifted for suspicious incidents, as they quite rightly ought to do. Detectives believe her crimes may date back as far as 2012. And the reason that they believe that her crimes may date back that far is that, of course, is when she became a nurse and had access to these babies. A source close to the investigation said the notes of 12 babies who had suffered unexplained collapses had been passed to experts who concluded that several of them indicated malevolent involvement. All 12 survived, and none featured among the charges in the nurse's 10-month trial, where she was found guilty of murdering 7 children and harming 6 others. Cheshire Police have said that they will continue to scrutinise the entire footprint of Letby's career, during which she worked at the Countess of Chester Hospital and undertook work placements at Liverpool Women's Hospital. The force is understood to be in Phase 2 of Operation Hummingbird, the investigation looking into the nurse's crimes, which began soon after Letby was charged with multiple counts of murder and attempted murder in November 2020. Nursing colleagues who appeared as witnesses for the prosecution at Letby's trial have already been interviewed in relation to other suspicious incidents that police are looking into. One said she had been questioned by officers last year about 3 cases of unexplained collapses at the Countess of Chester Hospital, one of which occurred in 2020, the year Letby started work at the hospital. Parents of the babies whose cases police are examining have been informed and are receiving support, officers said. A special team has also been set up to respond to parents concerned that their child may have been attacked. Liverpool's Women's Hospital has said it is investigating Letby's time there, while she was completing training placements between October and December 2012, as well as January and February 2015. Letby, 33, who is Britain's most prolific child serial killer, was sentenced on Monday to a whole life term for crimes that showed a deep malevolence bordering on sadism, the judge said. The jury at Manchester Crown Court concluded that she had assaulted the children using a range of methods that including poisoning with insulin, injection of air, blunt trauma, and overfeeding with milk. Most of the children Letby harmed were born prematurely, and some were so small that they could fit into the palm of a parent's hand. Cheshire Police were invited by the hospital in May 2017 to investigate a spike in the number of baby deaths between June 2015 and June 2016. The ensuing investigation that comprised Phase 1 of Operation Hummingbird involved the scrutiny of more than 500,000 medical documents and interviews with 2,000 people. Detectives also sought advice from officers who worked on the Stepping Hill Hospital murders more than a decade ago, when a nurse was convicted of murdering 2 patients and poisoning 20 others. Cheshire Police declined to comment when asked about the 12 cases under review. Officers have previously said it was impossible to provide a figure of cases they were working on. Detective Superintendent Paul Hughes said, "The Operation Hummingbird team is committed to a complete and thorough investigation into the full period of time that Lucy Letby was employed as a nurse, either while at the Countess of Chester Hospital or on placement at the Liverpool Women's Hospital. This investigation remains ongoing through a transparent and open-minded process. The families of all babies who are part of this investigation have been informed and are supported. We will, of course, provide a more detailed update when we can." Hughes added from 2012 through to 2016, there were more than 4,000 admissions of babies into the neonatal units of both the Countess of Chester Hospital and the Liverpool Women's Hospital for us to work through. This does not mean we are investigating all 4,000. It just means that we are committed to a thorough review of every admission from a medical perspective to ensure that nothing is missed throughout the entirety of her employment as a nurse. Only those cases highlighted as concerning medically will be investigated further. It's therefore suggested that there are a number of cases that have already been flagged as showing malevolent behaviour. And in my clear view, it is entirely appropriate for the police to go back to the beginning of her career, because you would have to ask the question, what would cause her to suddenly start murdering children in 2015? The answer is, there wasn't anything to make her start murdering children in 2015. There was nothing in the evidence that supported a sudden act which either caused a trigger, altered her life circumstances, or, if she had emotional empathy, caused it to be reduced. As I have established through my thorough review of the evidence, she has no emotional empathy, and therefore, since she is a narcissist who has a sadistic streak and psychopathic tendencies, the act of killing was done in order to assert control over those children and, more significantly, to indirectly assert control over staff, colleagues, the parents, to be able to draw fuel from them. There is no evidence to suddenly cause her to start doing it in 2015. She was created as a narcissist when she was a child. She didn't become a narcissist in 2015. She had been a narcissist for many years prior to that. There wasn't a particular event which then triggered her in 2015 to suddenly cause her to start killing children, or at least trying to, or harming them. Instead, her narcissism was prevalent before that, which also means that she would have the same need to assert control and nullify threats to control, and therefore there would be a complete likelihood that her narcissism would select a similar method of trying to get that control and draw fuel and attain character traits and residual benefits by harming children. Indeed, the proximity of her to parents who were joyous at the fact that they had a new child would be a threat to control. The fact that she would be envious of the fact that they had a child, that they had a happy relationship, whereas she did not, as I have explained in the detailed analysis, means that that amounted to a threat to control. And that threat to control won't have just started in 2015. It would have been there in 2014, in 2013, 2012, 2011, 2010, 2009, and before that. Of course, in those earlier years, she wasn't working at the hospital, and therefore her narcissism would have chosen a different means of getting that control and nullifying potential threats to control. But once she started working in a hospital, two things arose. First of all, the very presence of families with young children amounted to a threat to control, something that she had not necessarily come across previously, and therefore her narcissism needed to do something about it. And more generally, with regard to other threats to control that would exist, for instance, a colleague ignoring her, getting passed over for a promotion, etc., she had access to children as a means of using those children in order to nullify the threat to control that I've just mentioned and draw fuel. It would therefore follow as a matter of logic, with regard to the way that Lucy Letby behaved, that she would be offending at an earlier juncture than 2015. And therefore, it makes entire sense that the police should be looking at all instances that she was involved in from 2012 onwards. I should imagine that further information will be revealed in due course of her attempting to harm or even harming more children who were babies, and it may well be the case that further charges will follow. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.